This is Jonathan Agger, Fifth Pro Boxing Fans, joined by Ben Davison. It's fight week for two of your boys, Pat McCormack, Mark Dickinson. You told me when Pat signed with Matchroom that he has the potential to be one of the best guys this country's ever produced. Chance to show just a glimpse of that on Saturday night?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's, the thing is, usually what would happen is a fighter would make his debut along with the same promoter type thing, and this is a switch over to Matchroom, so there's a bit of a highlight on that. However, Pat's had 2 fights now, he's blown 2 kids away, he hasn't come back to the corner. It's important now that if we want to move him at the rate we want to move him at, that he goes in there and practices some things, gets some rounds under his belt. So more than making a showcase, I think it's about Pat putting into some things into practice, getting a bit of experience that will stand him in good stead. I know it's probably not what promoters and these kind of things want to hear. They want knockouts and explosive, and a knockout may come, but the most important thing to me is that Pat goes in there, practices a few things that we've asked for him to work on that's key for his development.
I know you and sort of Lee Wiley study all the opponents, and especially at the highest level, so when it's sort of early on in their career, do you study the opponents, or?
We'll have a look at them. It's not the same as, we wouldn't put together like a full scouting report like we would do obviously for a higher level caliber fight. However, we'll have a look at them and say, look, this is the principles of what we want you to do and what we feel like you need to do in this fight with this opponent considered. However, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, you would try to get an opponent that matches and suits what you're working on with your fighter, to be able to go in there and put that into practice on the night. Sometimes there's going to be a little bit of differ. Sometimes matching lads can be hard, so you don't always get exactly what you want. But there's an idea of, look, this is how we want you to go about it, of course.
How do you compare sort of Pat and Mark stylistically? Are there any similarities? What can people expect?
No, they're very different, to be honest. But they're fantastic. They do some rounds together, sometimes sparring. I know they've done a lot of rounds previously, but they actually complement each other. The work that each of them need is what each of them bring for each other. But they're very close, great relationship. Mark, Luke, Pat and Will Cooley as well. They've spent years and years on the GB squad together. So I don't like to spar them too often, too much, but bits and bobs for each other. They know that they're helping each other out.
You've got a busy stable. Would you be open to adding anyone else if anyone sort of asked you to train them?
If it's a special fighter, I get contacted quite frequently to work with fighters, but it's got to be the right person with the right mindset that I feel is going to go on to achieve big things in the sport, because I wouldn't want to work with people that I don't believe can go on to become world champions.
Lee Wood, is there any sort of update with him in the next stages of his career?
We'll speak with Eddie this week. I think he's got a rough idea, but we're still playing catch up with Leo Santa Cruz in the WBA, but I think we'll have a clearer picture maybe in a week or two.
Okay, let me ask you about a few fights coming up. Terence Crawford's fighting David Avanesyan. What would David have to do to have any chance? Because a lot of people just feel like this is a warm-up for Crawford.
Very difficult, very difficult fight. Fantastic fighter, David Avanesyan, brilliant. But Terence Crawford's up there with a pound for pounds. Such a versatile guy, orthodox southpaw. I think that Crawford will probably be southpaw more consistently for this fight. I haven't watched loads of David Avanesyan. I know that he can switch. I don't know if Crawford goes southpaw, Avanesyan will go southpaw. I don't know how adept he is at boxing as a southpaw, but he may choose to go southpaw for a clearer path for his jab to be able to close the gap if Crawford does that. But I think that Crawford will look to open up the distance as much as possible and try and clip him coming in.
And it was just announced Anthony Yard against Artur Beterbiev, January 28th. How much chance do you give Anthony Yard?
I haven't spent a lot of time having a look at it, to be honest, so it's hard for me to comment. But obviously I want Yard to win. I like Yard. So yeah, obviously I'll be supporting him.
You got Dillian White in the main event this Saturday night. Good to see him back. What do you think of this fight against Franklin? Not many people know much about him, but he is unbeaten heading into the fight.
Yeah, I was actually contacted by his team about working with Jermaine Franklin, but I'm obviously I was very busy, and just to work with someone for a single fight that I haven't really got a relationship with, it doesn't overly motivate me. But I had a little look at him, and I think that Dillian will be victorious in this fight, probably within under 6 rounds, probably.
And Tyson...
Dillian's a world-class heavyweight. I know he had the loss to Tyson, but he's a world-class heavyweight.
And sticking with the heavyweights, Fury called out Joe Joyce yesterday, or whenever the interview was recorded. What do you make of a Fury-Joyce fight?
Take it with a pinch of salt. But yeah, great fight. Listen, they get along. They've sparred many rounds. I've been there when they've sparred many rounds. Great guys, and obviously Tyson's the heavy favourite, but Joe Joyce is not an easy night's work for anybody.
I mean, can you tell us anything about the sparring? I know sparring stays behind closed doors and stuff, but were they good spars to watch and be a part of?
Yeah, like I said, Joe Joyce isn't an easy night's work for anybody. They was good sparring, they was helping each other out. They get on really well. They're, you know, Joe's a great guy, Tyson's a great guy. Joe was even coming over to the house. I think we even went for meals together. So, yeah, you know, it wasn't like they was trying to take each other's heads clean off, but there was good spars and they was helping each other out for their preparation.
And we've seen sort of Tommy Fury and Jake Paul going at it in Dubai. John Fury got involved. What do you make of sort of that fight if it happens, Jake Paul, Tommy Fury?
I haven't had look at it like that to be able to break it down, so to say, but all I can say is I know Tommy from when he was training, obviously from when I was training Tyson, but from we used to watch him quite a lot when he was training at Hatton's gym, and I thought he was, you know, I saw him knock lumps out of a few good level fighters, a few decent fighters. Haven't seen much of him recently, but I know that he you know, people say about his experience and that. I understand that he only had a few amateur fights, but he's been boxing his whole life, you know, and knowing his dad and his uncle Peter as well, and his brothers, they wouldn't have gave him an easy ride. He would have had it tough. He would have been pushed. He would have had a gut check. So, if I don't know, I'm not saying he's not, but I don't know if he applies himself. If he applies himself in the right way, I'm sure he can do something in the sport. Jake Paul, I've always said this, massive respect. Doesn't come from a boxing background, but the way that he's committed himself to boxing, the discipline he showed, the investment he's made in himself, I've got nothing but respect for, because I think he actually invests more percentage-wise. I know he probably got lots of revenue, income revenues, but I think that he spends a lot on making sure that he can be the best he can be in whatever it is that he does, and I respect that.
Ben, I'm going to ask everyone today, not related to boxing, how are England going to do in the World Cup?
All the way. It's coming home, isn't it? No, I didn't even watch the game the other day, to be honest, but hopefully we win.
Do you have a team you think may win it? Spain or?
I probably couldn't tell you 5 England players, so if I had an opinion on it, it wouldn't be worth a carrot.
All right, Ben, thanks for talking to pro boxing fans. I saw you've got your YouTube channel out now. Just tell the fans a bit about that and why you decided to do that.
Just, I want to help publicise the boys, promote the boys and get an insight to them. So just trying to put out some content to be able to see what it's like, what their characteristics are like, what it's like within the gym. And I think that'll go more in depth into, I haven't worked out how exactly going to go about it yet, but probably focus an episode on one fighter and another episode on another fighter. I'm not quite sure yet, but got some guys following Pat and Mark for their fight weeks this week and their fight nights on the weekend, so hopefully that'll be out soon and you'll get a chance to see and learn a little bit more about them as well.
And that's just, is that Ben Davison on YouTube or Ben Davison Performance Centre?
I think it's under Ben Davison, yeah.
Just give that a search. All right, Ben, appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to seeing Pat and Mark in action.
Thank you.